Good morning, everybody. This is Mr. Lowe. Today we are going to do our review for topic 2. So you need to have that review packet out, which is can be found in the back of your green math packet. So make sure that is out, and make sure you have some graph paper handy, and make sure you are showing all your work. So here I have problem number 1. It says a dollhouse has 15 and 1500ths square feet downstairs and 6 and 2500ths square feet upstairs. Which of the following is the best estimate of the total area of the dollhouse? So in my graph paper, I'm going to say, hey, this is problem number 1, and I know I have to estimate, which means I'm going to round or find compatible numbers. So I probably want to write down 15 and 1500ths, and I will write down 6 and 2500ths. Because I am going to estimate, we know that we are going to round to the largest place value. And I have to find the best estimate. That's a pretty important word right there. So this number down here, 6 and 2500ths, that 6 is in the ones place. This is 15 and 1500ths. That 1 is in the tens place. Because this has 6 in the ones place, that means I'm going to round both numbers to the ones place. So I underline the digit in the ones place, and I arrow over to the right. I see a 1 right here. That 1, because it is less than 5, tells me that keep that 15 the same, and everything else after my decimal, I drop. So 15 and 1500ths rounds to about 15. 6 and 2500ths, again, I see this 2 here. That tells me to keep that 6 the same and everything after it to drop. So now we know we need to find the best estimate for the sum. I'm going to add 15 and 6, and 15 and 6 is 21 square feet, and 21 square feet just happens to be answer choice B. So again, this is how I show my work for that first problem. You can pause if you want to, and give the kids a chance to write things down, or we can keep going and you'll have this video to continue with. So we don't have to do that. Let's just turn the page. There we go. So now, problem number 2. So on my notebook, I'm writing problem number 2, putting a circle around it. Use mental math to find the sum of $12.15, $16.85, and $1.74. And I told you guys that if you did not want to use mental math, you did not have to use mental math. But we're going to go ahead and line those up. When I'm adding decimals, I line up my decimals. So 12 and 15 cents, $12.15, 16 and 85 cents, and 1 and $1.74. And we can just kind of go ahead and add those up. 5 and 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. Carry my 1. 8 and 1 is 9. 9 and 1 is 10. 10 and 7 is 17. Carry my 1. 6 and 2 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. Plus another 1 is 10. And 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 30. Line up your decimals, bring it straight down in our answer, and our answer should be $30.74, which is answer choice B. Now, if we were to do this using mental math, and some of you are going to be able to do this, some of you probably picked up pretty quickly that 85 cents and 15 cents is $1. So that's my $1. And then I'm going to add to it the $12 that I have here, the $16 that I have here. And when I add those together, I get 6 and 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And 1 and 1 is 2. So that equals 29. And I add $1.74 to that. And that equals $30.74. So that would be how we would do it mentally. We would add the decimals here that equal $1, add all our whole numbers up, and then add that 74 cents at the end. Or you can just go ahead and line up your decimals, add them together like you normally would do, and select the correct answer. You want to make sure that you are choosing the right answer. You want to make sure that you're being neat and keeping things lined up, which I am trying to do. So now we go to problem number 3. And problem number 3 says choose all the expressions that are equal to $2 or 2 and 65 hundredths plus 3 and 78 hundredths. I probably need to figure out what that is. 2 and 65 hundredths plus 3 and 78 hundredths. And I want to add those together. 8 and 5 is 13. 6 and 1 is 7, and 7 is 14. 3 and 2 is 5, and 1 is 6. Decimal, decimal, bring it straight down. So I'm looking for things that equal 6 and 43 hundredths. Let's kind of see where we're at. So I want to now look at this problem here, 2 and 56 hundredths and 3 and 87 hundredths. 2 and 56 hundredths, 3 and 87 hundredths. I know I'm adding these, and I probably ought to bring down my decimal, make sure it's in my answer. I know my digits aren't lined up too well, but I want to make sure I have enough space. 6 and 7 is 13. So far the 3's match. We probably ought to keep going. 8 and 5 is 13 plus 1 is 14. And the 4 matches. And 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. 643, 643. That one's going to get selected. Now we got to do this one. 3 and 78 hundredths. 3 and 78 hundredths plus 2 and 65 hundredths. Hey, wait a second. Look at this. 3 and 87, 3 and 78. Ooh, I'm thinking this one may or may not. So let's give it a shot and see. 8 and 5 is 13. 7 and 1 is 8. And 6 more is 14. And 3 plus 1 plus 2 is 6. Check it out. 643. 643. That one's also going to work. I want you to notice something here. 3 and 78 hundredths. 3 and 78 hundredths. 2 and 65 hundredths. 2 and 65 hundredths. That is simply the commutative property of addition. Let's try the next one. 10 minus, we have a subtraction problem. 10 minus 3 and 67 hundredths. I know that there's a decimal here, and I could put a 0 here and a 0 here. And we start to subtract. 0 minus 7 I cannot do, I have to borrow. 0 minus 6 I cannot borrow from 0. Cannot borrow from 0, so I go way, way, way over here. And I cross that out, make it a 0. Whoops, not a 10. Cross that out, make it a 0. This 0 now becomes 10, but I'm borrowing 1 from that, making it a 9. This now becomes 10, but I'm borrowing 1 from that, making it a 9. And this now becomes 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. So far, so good. 9 minus 6 is 4. Ooh, so far so good. And 9 minus 3. Alright guys, hopefully you have spotted the mistake that I actually made. 10 minus 7 is 3, but 9 minus 6 is not 4. 9 minus 6 is 3. As soon as I write that 3 down, I know it's not a 4, so I know I'm not going to choose 10 minus 3 and 67 hundredths. Let's continue, because we need to. We are going to do 9 and 51 hundredths minus 3 and 8 hundredths. And I subtract. I cannot do 1 minus 8. I need to borrow from the 5 and make it a 4. And I need to make that one a 11. And now I subtract 11 minus 8. 11 minus 8 is how much? 11 minus 8 is 3. 4 minus 0 is 4. Decimal, decimal, decimal. And 9 minus 3 is 6. Look at that. 6 and 43 hundredths. 6 and 43 hundredths. I will choose that one. For the last one, and again, I have to write all of these out. 8 and 21 hundredths minus 2 and 78 hundredths. And I am subtracting. I cannot subtract 1 minus 8, so I have to borrow. This now becomes 11. 11 minus 8 is 3. So far, so good. Cannot subtract 1 minus 7, so I have to borrow. This becomes a 6. Or no, a 7. Sorry about that. And this now becomes, I'm adding 10 to it, which makes it 11. So 11 minus 7 is 4. Decimal, decimal. And 7 minus 2 is 5. Ooh, 5 and a 6. So I am not going to choose that problem. I think here, guys, the point is you have to show all of your work for each of these problems. First, figure out what the original equation is, and then go into each of the other problems.